Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Carpe Diem. Let's check it out. Set for this game, each player is going to take four just random of these little corner pieces here. They're going to snap them all together and they're going to make a little grid where they're going to place their little player board in the center of it. They're going to put these little scroll tokens over the icons displaced on the board there. They're going to take one of their markers there and put it right here on the top of this scroll track here. The other ones are going to go on their little player board here. Now this is double-sided here to where if you don't want it horizontal, you can show it vertically with the same information as below. That is so cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before in a game. But anyway, we choose to do it horizontally here. You put your other four player tokens there. Now, you're going to shuffle all the white tokens that you see there. You're going to dole out four to each side over here. And then you're going to shuffle all the black tiles there. And then you're going to put one of each at the bottom of the track on the board. There's also a first player token, some fountain cards that you will shuffle, and you'll just put them on the board there. These are victory point cards. They look the same front and back. First player gets 8 victory points, second player gets 9, third player gets 10, fourth player gets 11 points. That's how much they start off with. Then you're going to deal out the goals cards. Now, how to read these? These are A through D here, and they're very easy. Depending if it's a 2, 3, or 4 player game, it'll tell you how many cards you have to get out. So for a 4 player game, I have to do 1, 2, 3. So it's got 4 dots, but only 3 of them are filled in, so I put out 3 of those. And then for like B, I put out 3 of those too. And then for C, it says, oh no, it's D, excuse me. For C, it says, hey, a 4 player game, only deal out 2 of these. And then for a 4 player game, fill out 4. So that's basically how you can tell. Now you can shuffle these. There's a ton of them, ton of these cards in different decks here, and they represent your little market area that you'll just place here on the board too. Also, behind this board here too, will also show dots equal to the amount of players. So for instance, if this is a 3 player game, I wouldn't place it here because it has 4 dots on it. That means it's a 4 player placement. So they have a specific area on how you can place these for less than 4 players. 4 players, you fill it all up, but less than, you won't put cards in specific areas. After that, you place your little patrician, or whatever his name is, Joe. You put him somewhere on the player board. You can even be with the same where another character is as well, and then you're ready to go. Now, just like any failed game, this is super simple. What you're going to do is you're going to move and take a tile. You always have to move unless you have some kind of special token that allows you to stay put. So you move either to the left or to the right. Now, if one of these tiles are blank, meaning there are no tiles there, I could skip over that and go to the next one. Even if I had the choice to go here, I could just do that. So as tiles are going away, your movement will free up. And what you're going to do is you're going to take one tile, let's say I moved here and took this tile. What I do is I place it on my board, and the first place I have to place it is where this little golden shovel is. Now after that, the only rule is when I get another tile, I just have to place it anywhere touching this tile. So for instance, let's say for my next turn, I went over this way and I decided to get this item here. Now, this item here, as you see, is a pond in a gray building, where this is a little chicken pen here. Well, obviously it can't go like this because those two don't match. It can't go like this either because those two don't match, but it could go here to the side, here to the bottom, or here to the other side. Now, of course, if I had something that matched this, obviously I'd want to connect that one. Like for instance, maybe I'd gotten this one instead. I could connect that to right there, and that would be a legal move. Of course, on the end of your player board, let me just get one of these here, you can't dead end a building into the underbrush either. That's not allowed either. What you're going to be doing is taking a tile and placing it on the board. So there's some tile placement here going on. After that, I go to the next player and so on and so forth. Now, as the tiles get picked up in a 3-player game, in a 4-player game when it's gone, but in a 3-player game, if only one tile remains, you'll remove it from the game, okay, because for 3 players. In a 2-player game, once there's 2 tiles left available, you'll remove those from the game. So that's how it goes in a 2 to 3 player game. Anyway, so you're moving tiles, you place them on the board. Now, if ever you cover up one of these little scrolls here, you get to move up this little track here. Now, this track will indicate victory points at the end of the game. Now, I want to talk about connecting certain pieces here on the board. If you were to connect 2 pieces to make an item, you would get that reward. you would get the reward -1. So there's 2 tiles, that'd be only 1 fish in this case. If I connect it to chicken pens, I get 1 chicken. If I connect it to vineyards, I get 1 vineyard. If I connect it to gardens, I get 1 vegetable. And of course, here are all the icons shown here. Now these are the things, the grapes, the chickens, the fish, and the leaves here are the things you're going to be collecting, because in the market area later on at the end of the round, you're going to be able to have a chance to score and cash in some of these for victory points. Now there are other things you can do, like for instance the buildings can represent different things. If I was to complete this other half to this brown building, I would get, and it says here on your player board right here, 2 loaves of bread. If I get a bakery, which is just a single token, as depicted here, it's just a single token, I would get 1 bread. What is bread? Well, bread is something that you can utilize in the game to go anywhere on the board. So again, let's say I'm green player and I don't want to go here and don't want to go here. I really want that one over there. I can use my bread and go straight to it without I can skip over the other ones. Or let's say that the second tile I want also happens to be in that area. Well, I can use another bread and just stay there and not move, and then take the token and place on my board here. Bread lets manipulate your movement on the track there to set up your farm the way you want it. Bread also comes in handy later on in the game, and I'll explain why in a minute. Other things that you can get are these little gold areas here. These gold areas, once you connect the 2, and these are only 2 halves here, gold halves, a river or whatnot, it can go up to maybe 3 tiles, or they said the max is 4. And of course that way you get 3 fish, because there'd be 4 tiles involved. So if I had a third middle piece in between here, and there are middle pieces in the game, then I would get 2 fish, because it's tiles of 3, so 3 minus 1 is 2. But anyway, these buildings, they're only 1 half. They don't stretch out, so they dead into each other. But if you build one of these, you get, and as you see here again, coins. And coins are good because coins can replace goods in the market. You need certain combination of goods to get the victory points, but coins are like a wild resource you can always use. So coins are always good to use. Other buildings that there are in the game that you can get are these, the little aqua blue ones here, and if you get those, you will get to get a tile for free on the bottom track here. Remember, these are all the black tile ones you picked out, so you get to pick one for free if you got one that way. And again, hey, look, the player board tells you, hey, you complete that light blue building, you get a black tile. The last one here is these gray buildings that you see over here. If you were to complete one of those, you would go up 2 on the little scroll track here. So you keep moving up that scroll track. Now, if ever at the end of the game, this may happen. It's never happened to us yet, but we've gotten close. If you reach the end and you do an action that requires you to move up, you'll just take victory points for every movement you would have done. So you'll take those victory point cards equal to that. Anyway, again, look at the player board here. Just reminders of what all you can get when you complete stuff. And then here's the market. Market's just a single tile, much like the bakery. Here's a bakery that gives you 1 bread once you place it. It's just all in one side. And this is a market which gives you 1 gold coin. Now, on top of that, you can feel free to trade in any of your goods for additional coins at the market. So that way you'll have tons of wild resources to sell at the market, which is always a good thing. Next up are these fountain tiles. These fountain tiles will let you pick 2 fountain cards and keep one. These fountain cards will give you victory points at the end of the game. You can pick one, put the other at the bottom of the deck. But the cool thing is, the next time you get a fountain, maybe you pick 2 and you go, oh man, let me pick these. Sorry, picked up the wrong 2 there. You picked up these 2 and you went, oh no, I have more fountains and markets than I have completed apartments there, or 3 chimneys there. I want to get this. Well, I got to get rid of one of these, right? No, you just got to get rid of one. So you take 2 in your hand and get rid of one. You can get rid of the card you had previously and put it at the bottom of the deck, and then keep these 2, and so on and so forth. And that's the fountain cards are how you can get extra victory points at the end of the game. And again, our player aid will show us that. Now, the other thing is, after all the tiles have been taken off the board, then you're going to go over here to the market phase. Everyone, starting with first player, is going to take their little token, and they're going to place it in between. As you see, these cards kind of make little circles for your little marker to go in between. And so if that's the case, you can take advantage of any one of those accounts. So let's say I had a fish and a leaf there, okay? Well, I have a fish and a leaf. I could cash both those in for 3 victory points. But what if I had, let's say just to say just the leaf, and I had 2 coins? Well, I could use one of those coins to supplement one of that fish, or better yet, 2 coins to supplement the chicken and the grape needed to get that 5 victory points there. And I can do that as many times as I have resources in there. So again, if you had the market and maybe I had like a couple of icons and 6 coins, I could score that one twice and get 10 victory points. There are other ones in the game that say, hey, count how many chimneys you have in your little villas. These are little villa tokens, and you see they bend, move. You can have these big villas in there, and basically you're counting how many chimneys. So for every 2 chimneys that are on your player board, you're going to get a coin. So maybe I want to do that. And again, let's say I went down here and I had maybe 6, or I had 4 chimneys. I had 5 chimneys, okay? 5 of these chimney icons on my board. Doesn't matter if they're completed or not. If you complete them, that counts as in-game scoring, but not right now. So if I had maybe 5 of them, well, for every 2 I get a coin. So that's 2 coins. Well, with those 2 coins, I'm going to go ahead and cash it in and get 3 extra points for sending in a leaf and a fish. You can do that. You can grab resources and then use it to use the other side of the victory points counter. So you can score lots of victory points in this game with goods you're receiving and with goods you're trying to pay for here. Now, of course, I could do the exact opposite and get bread as well. Now, bread is really cool because if you have 3 bread on you, you can just cash in 3 bread and take whatever reward. So, for instance, maybe I was over here and I really wanted that 3 fish, but I don't even have any fish, but I had 3 bread. I could cash in my 3 bread and get the 7 victory points. And again, it says it right here. It said, hey, look, you have 3 bread, you complete whatever it is you're trying to do there. Or it tells you, hey, bread can make you move anywhere or stay in your position. Again, it just basically tells you what you can do there. Now, once that's done, you leave your markers there. No one can ever play in that area again. So at the end of the game, this whole board will be filled up with these little tokens here as you go through the next 3 rounds. The next 2 rounds are done with white tiles, as you see there, 2 white tile stacks, and the last round is done with these dark tiles here that you put on the board. And again, repeating the same process, building the board, doing the, getting the resources or going up on the little track there, and then going to the market. Now, once the game ends, you're going to score everything again like you would normally, and it tells you right here, says, hey, look, all of your leftover icons, any of your items here, or your bread, or your gold coin, or even tiles that you didn't use. Yes, sometimes you grab a tile and you're like, I don't want to place this, or I can't place this on my board. Well, I wasted time. No, you flip it over and it counts for half a point at the end of the game. All of these count for half points at the end of the game. So yeah, it says, hey, look, all this stuff is half a point, unused tiles. So sometimes you get the tile, but you don't want to play it. Even if you can play it, you don't have to. You can just keep that for a half a point at the end of the game. Of course, you count the scroll track, however far you are along on it, get your victory points as well. And then you're going to look at completed houses in your area. And all of these little boards here have these little tokens here. There's lines on the grid here, so let me just pull one up so you can see it right here. There's lines on the grid here, so if I had my piece, it'd be like this. If I had a completed villa, as you see here, a completed villa running in between this line here, I would get 3 victory points. Now, what if there were 2 of them? I'd only get 3. You only count it once. Same thing with this. If I had looks like that's a vineyard maybe. If I had a vineyard that cut through it, what if a vineyard was here and here, but not on that line, over that line? Well, I don't get it. It's got to cut through that area. So it's always got to cut through the area that's showing here. And of course, you have 4 different areas here that you're trying to build around to have your completed buildings. Again, it has to be completed for you to get those victory points, which is another way to earn some very big victory points at the end of the game. And then finally, of course, any of your fountain cards, you would add those victory points as well. At the very least here, you add up your chimneys. Yeah, now remember, this has to be a completed villa, but the more connected it is, the bigger it is, the more chimneys you have of completed villas. I mean, if you had 11 completed villas with 11 chimneys, that's 26 points at the end of the game. And so you add up all of these points, and of course, whoever has the most points wins. Now, there is a mini expansion on Board Game Geek that you can get for this game. It's basically these little tiles here. You'll basically shuffle them up and then place them over the track here. And as people are moving up the track, if they move into an area, they will get that reward, which is usually granting them a resource, bread, coin, or victory points. And that's just a mini expansion to the game. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Now, this is the new edition. There's an old edition out there that's still for sale, and I think prices are dropping on the new edition. I mean, the old edition, I mean. And I would say go ahead and get it. I don't see that much of a difference. I mean, yeah, the artwork looks a little bit nicer, and there's the big description of a pentagram or a star movement considered with this one, which is more simpler, just a circle. The gameplay is the exact same. There seems to be some big argument online about it, but I mean, in the pentagram, you're moving from one area to the next. This area goes to these two squares go to these two squares, and that may get confusing to people. They simplify the process. I don't mind this at all. In fact, I kind of like this version better for that reason, but ultimately, it really doesn't matter. The artwork in the old edition is a little less nice, but it's still decent. So if you want to get the old edition or the new edition, really doesn't matter. Now, for gameplay, a lot of people say this is one of his best games. It's not his best game. It's not his second best game, but it is a great game. It is. And we found that out, I think, the first time we played, just how many points you could get. We all had different avenues to get victory points. I made it up that patrician track, which no one did. And it's kind of overrated. You think, oh yeah, get up that as fast as you can. That's 20 extra points. Yeah, but then someone else grabs, chimneys. They're building their tiles, and they've got some points on the track, and they've got the big chimney points too, making that, prestige track not as important. So there's a lot of things that it's like, oh man, and that's why you should actually get the mini expansion. I do suggest you get one that goes with both versions of the game, and the mini expansion is great. Because the first game we played, I went to the prestige track, got a few points on the side here, doing this and that, and ultimately came in last place because prestige was my only big score. And there were way more other places to build big. Plus, I should mention the tiebreaker is whoever has leftover scrolls on your board. So no one wants to really get rid of those either. So a lot of people just avoided going at the prestige track. Then I got that mini expansion, put that into play, and it does make the prestige track more worth it. More people are trying to cover those places. Usually, you don't care about those scrolls because you're trying to line up in between your corners to make sure you get those extra victory points at the end of the game. But with the patrician track or whatever, now you're getting rewards every so many points, and they always change because you're shuffling those around. You're dealing out 3 on the board. I think squares 18, 19, and 20 aren't covered, but after that you're getting tons of victory points at the end of the game, so it doesn't matter. But that just adds so much to the game. It's a shame it didn't come in the base game. But again, overall, this is a fun game. This is actually a really solid Stefan Veil game, and definitely worth your time. All right, folks, that's it for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on.